Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am your host, Data T, and this is my channel, The Good Guys. Guys, today's story comes from The Trace. Again, we're going to go and speak on another article by Jennifer Massia. You guys know this lady. Some of you may think I'm picking on her, but I'm not. Okay, I just think that majority of her articles are wrong, and we know that Trace's view is that, they may not have stated it, but they are anti-gun advocates, and they would be very happy if the United States had no more guns. Okay, so guys, I'm going to get into this story. I'm going to read it in its entirety. I'm going to get a little technical. I'm going to show you some graphs. I'm going to tell you the reason that there is no policy to stop mass shootings. Okay, I believe that is definitely my opinion, but I think there's some fact behind it. But before we get into all of that, guys, if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, leaving a comment, subscribe, because remember, we are on the road still to 1,000 subscribers, and I would appreciate your help. You guys can also hit me on Twitter, hit me on Minds, and even on Truth Social. So let us begin, okay? It says here, title, are handguns or rifles used more often in mass shootings? Okay, it says here, concealable handguns have been involved in a majority of mass attacks for decades, but the use of rifles is becoming more common. Okay, now it says here, public mass shootings capture the nation's attention, and understandably so. They're random and statistically rare, making them seemingly impossible to prepare for. Remember what this says, random, and they are statistically rare. Okay, the deadliest mass shootings have been perpetrated with military-style rifles. I believe that is false. Okay, we do have the only one that I can think of that was really bad was the one in Las Vegas. Okay, and he had a bump stock. Okay, but the majority of mass shootings, no. Okay, I think they were done with handguns. Virginia Tech comes to mind. A lot of different other mass shootings come to mind with handguns. Okay, it says here, which inflict devastating wounds that are often unsurvivable. Guys, let me tell you, 9mm and then 223, 5.56. Yes, some bullets move faster than others. That I will not dispute, but they're still doing damage. Okay, what does it say here? This talks about an AR-15. What is an AR-15 rifle exactly? And guys, we need to understand some differences. Okay, there are AR-15 rifles, and then there are AR-15 pistols. Okay, the ATF has stuck their foot in their mouth, okay, trying to make up and say that we had the ability to keep them, and then all of a sudden now they want to classify them as short barrel rifles. Okay, we're not going for that, and people are desperately trying to fight this. So anyway, it says here, mass shootings accounted for less than 2% of gun deaths in 2022, according to an analysis of data collected by the Gun Violence Archive. In fact, the vast majority of shootings, including mass shootings, are committed with handguns. Okay, so I don't understand the big push to go after rifles. Okay, but I actually do, because I understand what will come after that. You see, the gun commies, the gun anti-gunners, if they go after the rifles first, it's an easier target than going after handguns. And what we saw from Canada it makes all the sense to me. Okay, if you look at Canada, that Madame Tussaud, or what's his name? The Prime Minister of Canada. Let's look him up real quick. Okay, Canada bans assault rifles, right? Okay, so this thing keeps coming up, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, it says here. Nope, not a good source. Okay, let's go to. Oh, it's Trudeau. Sorry, guys. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I called him Madame Trudeau. Okay, my apologies. Okay, Trudeau announces a ban on 15 types of assault rifles effective immediately. Okay, he did this in 2020, but then after that, what does he do? Then he goes after the handguns. Okay, so it's not, we know what happens after that, guys. We know that as soon as they go after the so-called assault rifles, they will then go after the handguns. Okay, from now on, people cannot buy, sell, or transfer handguns within Canada, and they cannot bring newly acquired handguns into the country. A national handgun freeze was first announced alongside Bill C-21, the strongest gun control measures in over 40 years. Okay, and it's here, guys. Canada bans new handgun sales in latest gun control action. Okay, this is from Reuters. Let me show it to you. Okay, and they did this. All right, so this cannot happen here in the United States. All right, and I'm telling you, I know we are watching or reading an article, okay, that is talking about mass shootings, talking about the use of handguns and the use of rifles in these mass shootings, but all of this is a ploy, in my opinion, to get rid of guns. That's all it is. Okay, so let us keep going. All right, it says here, what does the data say about guns used in mass shootings? The Violence Project, a nonprofit, of course they are, that tracks mass shooting incidents, provides one of the most comprehensive databases of guns used in such attacks. Before we get into the data, though, it's important to note that the Violence Project looks at a narrow subset of mass shootings, those that occur in public places, take 4 or more lives, and have no connection to underlying criminal activity. That means it excludes domestic shootings that take place indoors, as well as shootings in which dozens of people were injured but not killed. The organization's data shows that handguns are in fact the gun choice in such attacks. So the trace already highlights that this is the case. So why, again, I ask the question, the focus on rifles? Why? Okay? And they will go after the rifles first, then they will go after the handguns. That is their ploy. Okay, and they dub the rifles as assault weapons, which is bullshit. Okay, of 190 incidents dating back to 1966, perpetrators in 80% of attacks used at least one handgun, while 28% used a semi-automatic assault weapon. Like an AR-15 or its variant, of those shooters who used an assault weapon, 73% also carried a handgun. Okay, it says here, now if we look at this graph, handguns were used in most mass shootings since 1966. 80% of mass shooters since 1966 used at least one handgun, while 28% shooters have used at least one semi-automatic assault weapon. So we look at this graph, 80%, okay? Semi-automatic weapon, assault weapon. See, this doesn't make sense, guys. Semi-automatic assault weapon. This could be placed in the handgun column. Okay, rifle, 23%. Shotgun, 24%. Okay, these two are basically the same. Okay, those are the same. weapon, semi-automatic assault weapon. Anyway, you see, this is what you get when you have people that don't know shit about guns. Okay. However, when you look at more recent data, the picture starts to change. In the decade starting in 2010, some 34% of incidents involved an assault weapon, while 66% didn't. And if you look at incidents in the last 3 years, assault weapon rifles have been used in 59% of mass shootings. Is that true? In the last 3 years. Let's see. It says here, 2 out of 10 mass public shootings in the 1970s involved a semi-automatic assault weapon. Assault weapons are being used in more mass shootings. Assault weapons here is involved. This is 2010. Guys, so they've made a claim, okay, that the last 3 years, let's look at this. It says here, key findings. Mass public shootings today are more frequent and deadlier. So if we look at this, okay, this does show the graph is going up, but it does not account for rifles or so-called assault rifles, right? This is another graph here. It says here, deadliest U.S. mass shootings. If we look at the one in Las Vegas, okay, this talks about how many people died. This is 60. You got the one in Orlando, 49, okay? Do they classify this, or do they show what weapon was used, okay? Says here in the assault weapons is red, okay? So if we look at this one, 60, yes, we know that one, Las Vegas, was deadly. We know that one, okay? What about this one? This says Orlando, the bar, okay? He used a .223 caliber 6-hour MCX R15 style automatic rifle, okay? This could have been an assault. This could have been a what do you call it? A pistol classification, okay? Let's see what else. San Bernardino. I'm gonna actually keep this graph. This is not that bad, okay? So this talks about all of the different shootings with a so-called assault rifle, okay? Looks like they are tracking everything in 2023, okay? So according to this, 54 of 191 cases, okay, including 17 of the deadliest, 52 shooting deaths, okay, assault weapons in red. Guys, I'm gonna tell you something. In my opinion, okay, a lot of these things will not be prevented by law. They will not be prevented by banning. Okay, they will not be prevented by anything other than the public. Not even the police. Okay, not even the police. Let's do this, okay, because this graph, I don't think it's difficult to understand. All right, I do like this graph. It looks well thought out, and I'm glad that they're tracking things. But in the last 3 years, they say 56%. Yes, we see more. Okay, we do see more in red of rifles. Okay, we do, or so-called assault weapons. All right, but the underlying case since the 66 is majority of them use handguns. They are much more concealable, okay, to use. Now, this bolsters their case, okay, and they have evidence. We have to acknowledge they do have evidence to make their case against rifles, right? But there's a big but, okay, and the but is it's still done majority with handguns. Just the last years are they talking about, okay? So for me, that doesn't constitute getting rid of these weapons. All right, let's move on with the story. Okay, the data shows that shootings involving rifles took the most lives. Semi-automatic assault weapons have been used in the deadliest shooting on record. Vegas, Orlando, we did see those there. Okay, Springs, Sandy Hook, Uvalde, which was why weapons are overrepresented in media reports. The perpetrator of May 22 Buffalo, New York supermarket who killed 10 black people wrote in an online journal before the attack he chose a semi-automatic rifle because it's very deadly. You know, what about the shooter who said, I'm not going to go to this particular school or this particular area because I know they have guns there? Okay, it's very convenient that they add this here, okay, but they don't add all the other statements that other mass shooters have said in their last words. Okay, we could get into the one from the transgender in Tennessee. We can get into the other guy. This is the one from Philadelphia who was also transgender, and we can talk about his last words. Okay, they have a lot of them. Okay, and I usually don't like to quote crazy people, but they sure did here. They had no problem doing that here, so long as it bolsters their agenda. Okay, again, it says here shooting using assault weapons drove deaths in 2020 and 2010. Okay, so this is more. This is just 2010. Okay. And then it says here another database, Gun Violence Archive, tracks shooting in near real time through news clips and police reports over the last decade. 217 mass gun murders defined as 4 or more people killed in a single incident have been perpetuated with handguns according to GVA, while 38 mass gun murders have perpetuated it with semi-automatic rifles in their variants. So I think we saw this one already. This was the one that was done in real time, which was probably this one here. Okay, different places. Okay, and they have a lot of interesting graphs. This is actually a good resource. I wouldn't mind going through this, even though we know these people are biased. Okay, we know they are, but if it's good data, it's fine, no problem. Okay, I'm gonna go through that. This is the first time I've seen this, guys, but it looks like it's legit, but we'll see. Okay, let's read the rest of this. Okay, what about all types of gun violence? When we look beyond mass shootings, handgun use becomes even more prevalent. According to the trace data from the Bureau of Alcohol, or ATF, handguns are accounted for nearly 3/4 of guns recovered at crime scenes in 2021, while rifles accounted for only 10%. This tracks with varied data released by individual cities. Researchers at George Mason University reported in 2018 that semi-automatic rifles accounted for around 7% of guns used in crimes in 10 large cities, including Baltimore, Kansas City, Missouri, and Seattle. The FBI of investigation also tracks the types of gun used in homicides. According to the agency's Crime Data Explorer, which serves as a repository for national crime stats, 59 or almost 6,000 people were killed with handguns. The most recent year such data is available. Another 447 people killed with rifles. Okay, guys, this is huge. This part is huge. Okay, 5,992 people killed with handguns, where 447 people were killed with rifles. So why, again, I asked the question, the focus on rifles? Let me show you something, okay? I want to show you this. If we look at this This is from the crime research .org, okay? And it talks about in that same year that they talk about 2021, okay, they cover from 1998 to 21. It says mass public shootings by type of weapons used. 56% was used here. We are not going to discount that. Yes, there have been a very use of firearms in now mass shootings. Okay, people are using different weapons. Okay, but the vast majority is handguns. Okay, why are they going after the rifles? Okay, and it's because I'm telling you, they are trying to set the case where it's because it's easier. It's easier to go after the rifles. When they go for the rifles, after they get the rifles, then they will go for your handgun. Okay, this is what you need to understand from this story. Okay, and when I talked about earlier that the reason that there is no policy to stop these mass shootings, look at this. Okay, is there a policy that reduces mass public shooting deaths? Okay, I want you to read this. This is the abstract of this available paper here. Okay, but this is somewhat a synopsis, or what we call I want to say a summary. Okay, and I'm going to read it. It says the fact that an individual is willing to commit the most serious crime that carries with it the most serious punishment means that that person is unlikely to be deterred by laws with less serious consequences. That means that guy doesn't give a shit. Okay, the situation is compounded by the fact that many multiple victim public shooters are expecting, even planning, to die in the commission of their crimes. Combining newly developed and traditional differences methodologies, we analyze several policies that have been suggested as possibly effective in reducing deaths due to mass public shootings. We find that none of the proposed policies significantly reduce such deaths. However, we find evidence that mass public shooting deaths are lower in places that allow the carrying of concealed firearms. Okay, this is making the case for the public. I always believe you want to change anything, it is the people. You must get to the people first. That's why if we're really going to stop crime, mass shootings, all of these things like gang violence, drug, it has to start with the people first. And in this case, the people need to be armed. Okay, let me show you another portion here where it talks about, okay, where concealed weapons save lives. Okay, if we look at this particular article, this article again, guys, comes from the Detroit News. Okay, but it was published here also on the crimeresearch.org. Okay, do you know? Okay, do you know? In 2013, look at this. Police response times in Detroit were about average of 50 minutes. Now, since 2018, it is down to 12 minutes. Okay, compare that to the cities like Los Angeles, New York, where their response time were 5 to 7 to 4 or 6 minutes. Guys, unless they're there in 30 seconds, unless they're there under a minute, which is impossible, all this time counts. Okay, even if a crime victim is able to make a call in 12 minutes, it is a long time when seconds matter. This is what people don't understand. Okay, look at this, and I'm gonna finish up the article after this. It says here, surveyed, the police one surveyed more than 15,000 police officers across ranks, department size in 2013, and found that 91% of the members support liberally issued concealed handgun permits. Okay, so the police, believe it or not, want you to have guns. Okay, they know they can't even be there. I have had police officers, once they checked my ID and they realized that, oh, this guy carried concealed, I've had many of them say thank you. I don't know what that is, okay, but for someone who carries a gun professionally to say thank you must mean something to them, okay? And what really happens after you ban these firearms, guys? Okay, it says here, the FBI data is notoriously incomplete, which we know. Law enforcement agencies are not required to submit crime statistics to the database, and only around 60% do. Guys, the point of this article, I'm telling you, is to talk about the ban of rifles. I know this is specific towards mass shootings, but I don't believe so. It is to put in your mind that rifles are the problem. Okay? What happens, guys, after they get rid of the rifles? What happens after they get rid of the handguns? And in my opinion, murder, homicide, manslaughter, it will go up. Okay? And how and why do you believe that? Well, I have evidence to support my case, and here it is. Okay? Again, from the crime research, it says here, murder and homicide rates before and after gun bans. Okay? If we look at, this was when Great Britain banned handguns, 1997. Look at what happened. Okay? You're looking at the time, okay? You're looking at below 12%. Then it skyrockets to 18. Okay? That is almost what? 2003. That's 5 years later. 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 6 years later. Okay? And then it does plummet, okay, even lower to when the ban existed. This is 2010, but we see a steady rise, or we see a small trend upwards, right? That's Great Britain. Look at this. If we look at England and Wales, similar, okay? And I think we can see it here, okay? This might be this one. No, maybe I should have made these a little bit bigger. Okay, if we look at this one here, okay, this is England and Wales. Okay, we see the handgun ban here, and that rise in percentage. Okay, this is homicide specifically. Okay, then if we go back to this, okay, we can look at again another country, Ireland and Jamaica. Check this out. Okay, let me zoom this. Okay, and look at this, murders. Look at the spike here, and then the upward trend. Again, that is what, Ireland. This is Jamaica. Look at this. Look at the spike, and then the trend. Okay. Let's go to another country. Let's minimize this a little bit. Okay, if we go to another country, look at this. This is where? I think this is Chicago. Look at this, Chicago. We already know what's going on in Chicago, right? We already know. But still, look at this. A spike, trend. Okay, the same. Okay, this is after a ban is in effect. Okay, then the last one, everybody's favorite. Okay, Washington, D.C., right? They had a little spike, the trend, okay? I'm going to tell you, I will never give up my firearms. Never. And I know how that sounds. I really do. I know how that sounds. That sounds crazy. You're a crazy person, boss. Boss man, I know what happens when guns are no longer in our lives. Okay? They will take something small that is in their own words. Okay? It is something that is rare. It's in their own words, okay? It says here, mass shootings account for less than 2% of gun deaths. That was in 2022, okay? It is an infinitesimal, not infinitesimal, we'll say it is something that happens, it is rare when it happens. But because it takes so many lives, they want to use this to take our guns away. That's all. This is what I want you to get from this article. Okay? From this article, from everything that I've said, these people don't want you to have guns. Guys, I say this at the end of my videos all the time, and I mean it. Good people have guns. Good people should never ever allow anybody to take their guns from them. They should always have guns. Because we know as soon as the guns are gone, the crazies will come out. You will see spikes in violence. You will see it. And this is not unique to those countries. The same thing will happen to the United States. This is why we can never give them up. This is the reason why good guys should always be armed, because if evil is not challenged, it will flourish. And when it flourishes, that means good guys have not stepped up to combat the wrongdoings that are happening around you. And guys, the only way we are going to see evil persist is if good men do nothing. And if good men do nothing, there will be no good guys.